Have you ever felt the taste of human flesh hit your tongue? The sweet but tangy flavor seeping into your taste buds as you crunch down on the flesh-covered bone. Well, it's what I long for. Her boy had grown up in a small town, yet he remained unnoticed and invisible to those around him. No one noticed his perfect emerald eyes that glistened when rays of sunlight hit them, or his bush of hair that curls together just right. But I noticed him. I noticed how every Tuesday he would walk to the library to catch up with his studies, and bi-weekly would go to his grandma's nursery to sew with her. Even though we grew up in the same town and went to school together, the two of us had only officially met at a charity event in Lesotho. It was an event where we helped build new homes for the community. Oren and I were placed in the same group. As we worked together, I got to know him better, and I immediately grew obsessed with him. Once the event was over and we returned home, sorrowful thoughts suffocated me. Being away from Oren felt as though my heart was getting ripped out of my chest. Having to go a day without his energetic laugh and alluring scent of burning wood surged an aching through my stomach. Before I knew it, I began to long for his touch and his presence. When I started university at Bridgeport, I had found out Oren was attending Bridgeport as well. Walking through the tall doorway into my biology class, sitting there, looking as perfect as ever, was Oren. He waved at me. Butterflies penetrated my stomach as I walked over and sat in the seat next to him. Just as I sat down, the bell rang and the teacher started his lecture. After an hour and a half of painstakingly enduring biology class, Oren and I decided to walk to a cafe nearby. As we were seated, engaged in a conversation about our class, a girl approached us. The girl sauntered up to Oren with a provocative sway of her hips and breasts practically jumping out of her shirt. It seemed someone else had noticed him too. My mind was consumed with resentment as I watched the girl talk to Oren, completely disregarding my existence. The sound around me seemed to fade away, as if my ears had become deaf to everything else once they began discussing the idea of hanging out. I felt an urge to release a piercing wail and assert my ownership over him. But I couldn't ignore the painful truth. He wasn't mine. I was aware of the wandering eyes of Oren glancing at me and giving me the look as if asking if I'm okay. I nod my head, deciding to enter myself into the conversation.
Where are you guys thinking about hanging out?
Almost looking offended, the girl replied.
I've got 2 tickets for a movie.
Oren blurted out.
I'll pay for the 3rd ticket so Liyla can join.
I don't mind.
The girl replied. Obviously she minded. The girl then turned to me and said,
I don't think we've met before. I'm Nevada.
Liyla.
I uttered. Nevada? smiled distastefully. She turned her attention back to Oren, continued to seduce him in front of me. Not able to stomach any more of their flirting, I excused myself to the restroom. Instead, I went straight out the door of the cafe. I didn't care if Oren saw me. My heart was broken. Tears flowed uncontrollably along my pimple-filled cheeks as I walked aimlessly around. I continued walking in a random direction for what felt like hours, until I found myself back at my dorm. Walking inside, I hear the ding of my phone and see a message from Oren.
Are you alright?
I threw my phone against the wall, hoping to shatter it into pieces. I sprang into my bed, burying my face into my pillows. That night felt different. The air was suddenly thick, like a smoker's lung filled with mucus. It felt as if clouds covered my shining sun. Feeling weary, I decided to skip my homework and go straight to bed. In the middle of the night, I suddenly woke up. My body was unable to move. Great. Another night of sleep paralysis. I lie there waiting for the hallucinations to start. In the corner of my room, I saw a short and stubby man wearing the typical trench coat, but with a sombrero. I wanted to laugh, but the grip of my sleep paralysis was a virus in my body. I then moved my eyes to the other side of me to see the exact same figure. Now a little startled, I try to keep my eyes closed in order to have this pass, when I feel the touch of a person's lips around my calf, biting me. The pain grew as if it felt that someone was tearing my skin off. When I tried to scream, nothing came out, just a breath from my lungs. Next thing I knew, I saw the face of a man appear, as if it's coming down from my ceiling like a spy. The figure laughs at me, struggling to move. It then drops through me. I can feel the coldness take over me and my thoughts become not my own. The feeling of dread suffocates me after. Eventually, laying there for maybe an hour, the biting sensation on my calf stops. I start to feel the droopiness of my eyelids, and I pass out. As the sun awoke, so did I. I roused to the overbearing feeling of hunger. I quickly made my way into my kitchen, where I devoured anything in my sight. Raw meat, vegetables, raw noodles, anything. Still, this feeling of hunger never left. My attention is driven to the notification from my phone. Walking over to the cracked thing, I checked to see that Oren had texted me. It read,
We're meeting at the movies in an hour. See you then.
I responded with a thumbs up and checked the time. It was already 7:30 p.m. and I slept all day. Getting ready was hard. My tear-filled eyes restricted me from looking my best. After I put on my clothes, I skipped doing my makeup out of fear of getting it messed up and looking worse than I already did. While I'm getting ready, the intense feeling of hunger never leaves, but it gets worse. It felt as though someone was ripping me from the inside of my stomach. Locking the door behind me, I started a 10-minute walk through the movie theaters. The whole walk, it felt as though someone was watching me. I couldn't shake the feeling. No matter how much I turned my head or how quick, I never saw a person or even an animal nearby. Walking up to the sidewalk of the theater, I see Oren and Nevada talking rather close to each other. I assumed they were waiting for me when I noticed them walking inside. Dumbfounded, I came to a stop and checked my phone to see a message from Oren.
Change of plans. We aren't going anymore.
My heart shattered even more than it already was. I've officially been replaced. I slowly walk inside and walk up to Oren.
Thanks for ditching me.
I say, not letting myself cry in order to not show weakness. He doesn't respond, and I see a sly smile on Nevada's face. Admitting my defeat, I decided to walk away. Once I walked out of the theater, I began to start running. The ravenous craving for food with a mixture of immense dismal seeped into my blood. So, I decided to go to a cafe. Walking inside, the fluorescent lights made my eyes shift from the gloomy atmosphere to the liveliness of the cafe. I sat down at my usual table and waited for one of the workers to come and take my order. I finally got the chance to calm down and examine my thoughts. Following a short wait, a lengthy woman comes up to me and asks,
Hi, can I get you anything?
I responded,
I'll take a jelly bun and 1 large coffee with 3 pumps of caramel and 5 pumps of cream.
as she was writing down my order. I couldn't help but look at her arm. That's when the intrusive thoughts started appearing.
I wonder what she tastes like.
That filled my thoughts, as if not my own. Unable to control the overwhelming thoughts, I decided to just walk out. Walking in a random direction, I notice a park in the distance, thinking I could sit there to clear my thoughts. I walk up and sit on a swing. A few minutes later, a child comes bouncing along the pathway with her pigtails that look like curly fries. The thoughts come back.
Eat her.
I gasped and jumped off the swing while flying in the air. Tumbling while getting up, I ran, not knowing where to run to. I just ran. Not too long after, I ended up back at my dorm. Unlocking my door with shaking hands, I quickly barricade myself inside, unable to stomach the pain anymore. I decided to call Oren to see if he could come over to help. After talking to a sorrowful and concerned Oren, he agreed to come over. I soon heard the knock on the door, ran to it, opening it. I see Oren as gorgeous as ever, dressed in what I imagine is his best casual wear. That's when I looked to the left of him and see Nevada holding on to his arm. The tenderness of my heart turned to ice.
Come inside.
I mumble while holding my stomach. That's when both of them walk inside my dorm and sit on the couch, hand in hand, feeling like I'm about to get sick. I say I'm using the bathroom and walk towards the washroom that's in my room. While sitting at the toilet, throwing up all of the junk I've eaten today, I feel inside of me like something is moving throughout my body, slowly taking control of each limb. As my body becomes not my own, I stand up quickly and head towards my bedroom once more. That's when I instinctively grabbed something from underneath my bed. A box. In this box, I kept my firearm, which I'm not technically supposed to have, but I do in case of protection. In an almost trance-like state, I grabbed the gun out of the box and loaded with ammo. What am I doing? Slowly walking out of my room, I pointed the gun right at Nevada's head. Neither Oren nor Nevada could see me, as the couch was facing away from my room. This felt right. I pulled the trigger under my finger. The deafening sound of the gun rang through my room. I look up to see Nevada no longer in sight, but Oren right next to her, aiding her. This is what he should be doing to me. I'm the one in pain. I'm the one who called him here. Only him, not her. This enraged me as I lifted up the gun again, pointed it at Oren's heart, and as I did before, pulled the trigger. I strolled over to Oren to see him lying there, gasping for air and coughing up blood, as he says his last words.
Why?
The guilt pierces my heart like the bullet I just put in his. No, this is his fault. I shouldn't feel guilty for him picking another girl over me. An intense smell hit my nose. The smell was indescribable, and it made my mouth water like never before. That's when I realized the smell was coming off the corpses below me. I kneel down and lick the skin of Oren. A rush fills me as my taste buds grow excited at the taste of his skin. Whatever was inside me, controlling me, made me long for more of Oren. Not in a lewd way, but I wanted to ingest him. Going into the kitchen, I grabbed the largest knife I have, then make my way back to the bodies on my floor. Immense anger filled me as I looked at Nevada's face, still as beautiful than me, even after life. I lifted up the knife and plunged it right into her stomach, blood oozing out as I moved the blade out of her, just wanting to make sure she's finished off. I lick the blade of the knife, and the sweet taste of blood hits my tongue. I then go into a fury of chopping up Nevada piece by piece, making sure to cut bite-sized chunks to feast on. Slowly, the feeling of hunger disappeared, and the discomfort faded. I felt accomplished. After I finished my meal, I realized I was left with nothing but bones, hair, and the body parts I'd prefer not to eat. I grabbed some rags and cleaning spray and got to work cleaning up all of the blood on my floor. After that, I quickly grabbed a box and shoved the discarded organs, rags from cleaning, and a knife into it. At this time it was pitch dark out, so I sneakily made my way out of my dorm with the box and to a nearby dumpster where I know stray dogs like to roam. I placed the box just outside the dumpster, with stuff on top of it so it's hidden from the human eye. As I made my way back to my dorm, I quickly scanned over the crime scene to make sure I cleaned it back to the way I left it, so that my roommates wouldn't get suspicious. After that, I stroll into my bedroom, take a deep clean shower in order to wash all of the blood off me, and make sure to put my bloody clothes into a trash bag that I will throw away in the morning. I then make my way into my cozy bed and soon find myself dozing off in a deep sleep. Once again I woke up to the feeling, or rather not the feeling, of my body. Already expecting what was about to happen, I prepared myself for the inevitable. As I was staring at the ceiling, I saw the sombrero man appear like a dangling spider. Not really scared of him anymore, but more intrigued. I tried to talk, but my vocal cords feel as though someone is ripping them as I tried. As he was moving toward me, he sticks out his tongue and licks my face from cheek to forehead and said,
Good job, my little prodigy.
He then screamed an inhuman-like screech and fell into me. Coldness shook me to the core. I must have passed out because next thing I knew, I opened my eyes to daylight. Surprisingly, my anxiety was low this morning. I got dressed in my usual sweats and a sweater, then grabbed a bag of bloody clothes and my backpack as I exited my front door. I was off to my first class, but not before stopping at a different dumpster than the night before. As I'm walking into the classroom, I glance at the seat Oren had sat at the day before. I sit in the chair next to it and wait for the teacher to do a roll call of the classroom, as he does each day. After hearing Oren's name called and getting no response, a feeling of pity flows through me. Why do I keep feeling bad for him. This was his fault. During class, my thoughts wandered to the sombrero man I kept on seeing. Being a huge believer in the paranormal, I decided to Google any past deaths in my dorm. Turns out, in 1947, there was a young man at the age of 23 who ended up killing 18 women and men, and ate them. This man hung himself in order to escape the police right here in my room. Past people in my dorm have stated seeing the man in a sombrero. No one believed them, but I did. I realized I liked this life. I liked eating people and the thrill of covering up the discarded body parts. It made me feel as though I was the most powerful when ingesting the meat of humans. This delight would soon be crushed, as the justice system would soon catch up with me. News went around that there was a box found next to a dumpster full of human body parts.
Damn it!
Almost as quickly, people noticed that Oren and Nevada were missing. Nevada more than Oren. I went on with my life, soon forgetting about Oren and Nevada, as I was now focused on finding my next meal. One morning, I got a knock on my door. My roommate was out, so I got my lazy butt off my bed and walked right up to the front door. Opening it, I saw the police. My heart dropped. They knew. All I could do was let them search my dorm. They found loads of evidence against me and arrested me right on the spot. I was thrown into a jail cell for around 5 months before my trial. The food was terrible, tasting nothing like human flesh. It was torturous. At my trial, I saw the families of Oren and Nevada, all of them crying and/or giving me a death stare. I couldn't help but smile at each and every one of them. Turns out eating people isn't taken too lightly in my country, and I received the death penalty. I wasn't scared or sad. All I could think about was the sensation of flesh hitting my tongue. Being tossed into a solitary confinement cell this time, I spent the next 32 years there, being alone, having nothing to do and away from any human contact. Not even my family wanted to visit me. The food was a little better at least. I received raw lamb at my request. It was the closest tasting to human in my opinion. On the morning of another Monday, it turned out to be my execution day. To my surprise, my cell door swung open. Standing there, I saw a scared woman. I could smell it, in a police uniform holding a pair of handcuffs. Knowing the drill, I turned around and put my hands behind my back, ready to feel the icy metal against my skin. Her shaky hands put the cuffs on me and let me out of my cell. Walking through the prison was nostalgic. As we were twisting and turning through the prison, we made it to a door. The door led us outside, and the light of the sun blinded me after not seeing it for so long. Waiting for us was a van that I figured out was leading me to my death. Sitting in the chair where I was about to die was oddly calming. The knowledge that death is near gave me a thrill I had missed all these years. I wonder if this is how the man felt as he was dangling there, unable to breathe and slowly losing consciousness. I wonder if that past murderer gave him that thrill. After waiting for what felt like forever, there was a man that came in with gloves on, along with other people around him assisting him as he hooked up the needle to the poison. The needle was placed into my arm, and slowly I felt the substance seep into my blood. He then switched the substance with another mixture. This one made me feel drowsy. I started to slowly lose consciousness as the man switched the bag one more time. That's when I felt cold. I could feel my body slowly starting to fail. I felt a tight grasp of hands wrapped around my neck, fingertips digging into my larynx. Just then the face of the sombrero man appeared as I closed my eyes, his face an angry expression.
You failed me, little one.
He said in a disappointed tone.
Now, you must face the same fate I did.
His grip tightened around my throat. I closed my eyes, and I felt tears leave them. Even though I never asked for this, the sensation of failure lingered within me. I wanted more than anything to still be out in the world, tasting the flesh of humans. But I wasn't prepared for this. Accepting my fate, I felt as the breath from my lungs started to slow, and my once beating heart turned to a hollow void. There was nothing but a ringing in my ears as I was trapped in my own body, unable to move.
This was my end.
Yet another twisted journey through a tale of unrequited love, macabre cravings, and a steeping descent into madness. The tale revolves around a girl obsessed with a boy named Orn, whose life takes a sinister turn as she grapples with an eerie desire and the presence of a dark, sombrero-clad entity. The latter subtly steering Liyla towards an irredeemable dark path. As her infatuation intensifies, so does her insatiable hunger for human flesh. The tale delves into her struggles with morality, the consequences of forbidden desires, and experiences with the supernatural. College life, romantic entanglements, and a chilling revelation all converge to seal Liyla's grim fate. So many delicious turns within this dark tale, where the taste of human flesh becomes an unsettling obsession, and the boundary between monstrous and human just fades into an eerie conclusion. I myself have known of several entities which indulged the lesser-minded into such, craven acts. Maybe it was about time they visited again. The pantry in my asylum is always stocked for guests which swing into the more malevolent side of that abysmal moral compass.